Hello and welcome to week 2 lesson and instructions. I'm just going to give you a brief lesson here. We're going to talk about social media in general, and then we're going to go into Facebook for Business and Twitter. And then we'll go into your to-do list a little bit and what to expect this week and next week, just so you have a good idea of what's going on in the course and what you should be doing. So let's get right into it, talking through social media marketing in general. As you're reading this book, Jab, 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 Right Punch by Gary Vee, you will start to see some of his phrases and lingo. And I just wanted to distill some of that because I think when you dive into social media, there can be a tendency to overlook some of the basics or the nuance. So let's go for that. So first I wanted to explain, organic posts versus paid. Native also is another buzzword that Gary's using throughout the book. So organic posts are really as if to say, we're not paying for advertising dollar or paying in any way for that post to get out there and reach people. So that's really organic. That's what they mean in this context. In other marketing contexts, it means something else. And of course, in gardening and landscape, it means something else. But here it means you're not paying for the post to reach people at all. Paid is paid advertising online, and it means specifically in the social media context, paying for ads that look like posts most of the time that can reach people. And people on social media sites like Facebook and Twitter may or may not realize that that is an advertisement that they're seeing. Typically they're labeled, you'll see it says sponsored, but people in general are just sort of scrolling through their feed and they might not even realize it's an ad. You've definitely seen one if you've been on Facebook or Twitter before, even if you didn't realize it. And these types of ads, there's many different versions or ways that you can publish ads on Facebook and Twitter. These could be in the form of sponsored stories or sponsored posts or even boosting a post. You've probably heard business people talk about boosting a post or boosting an event so that maybe you create an event on Facebook and you want it to reach even more people. That's sort of one thing that you can do. Promoted tweets are another thing that you can do on Twitter. And so I think it's important to understand sort of what we're talking about. Publishing and what is organic and what is paid. So that's the big difference. Another term that comes up is native content. And that's a really broad term, but in general, what it means is whatever platform or channel, those two words are used interchangeably too, to mean whatever social media site, meaning platform or channel that you're on, you want to make sure whatever you're publishing, whether it's an ad or a comment or a post, that it resonates with the intention of that platform and the audience that's going to be on that platform. So having your content be native, meaning sort of naturally occurring in that particular environment of that social media channel, is really important because that's one of the main key factors in having quality content. And the book does a really great job of showing you examples of native content that is high quality for each different type of channel. So highly encourage you, to read the book. If you've received it, this is what it's out without the cover. If you've received it and it looks like a thick book, and it might be hard to read, I'll tell you it's pretty simple to read because there's a lot of examples in there, and I learn best by examples, and I know many of my students have shared that with me too. So I encourage you to go through and do the reading. It's not laborious. It's pretty simple, and there are a lot of great examples in there of what quality native content looks like. So another buzzword you'll hear is community management. And the idea is that social media sites like Facebook or on Twitter, you go on there with the intention of creating some sort of community. So if you're a business and you've got a Facebook business page, you have, let's say you have maybe 300 people who have liked your page, and maybe 100 of those people are sort of actively going to your page. You have a community of people there that are reading your content occasionally or frequently, and maybe responding now and again. And so that would be considered your community. And the idea behind the term community management is that there needs to be someone or a team of people on the company's side that are actively giving this community of people content, so posts, but also actively responding and engaging with these people. That's a big miss I see a lot of times with different organizations that are focused on their social media marketing. They might be really focused on the posts, and then what happens is, people might respond to them and not get very good customer service. So the act of both publishing and giving that customer service, if somebody makes a comment on a post, responding, or even going to other pages and actively driving in conversation on with other channels or with other users, that's all considered community management. And in fact, it's a job title now, in the social media space. You can be a community manager, and that's what it means. So you'll see that time and time again throughout the book. Just didn't want to breeze over that because I think it's important to understand what they're talking about when they talk about community management. All right, so when you're thinking about social media marketing, you want to start thinking about what the goals are, and you'll see in some of the resources I've laid out on this post here in your week 2 lessons and instructions. Some of the resources give you examples of how to build a strategy, and in any strategy you ever do, you want to have goals. And sometimes you have business goals, and sometimes you have goals for that specific channel. So you might have Facebook goals, or you might have Twitter goals that lead into your business goals, and they would help you achieve your business goals. Anyway, you're going to have goals. And for social media, some of the more common, easy to track goals are reach. That means how many people is your post or page reaching, and engagement, meaning do people like the post? Do they do an angry face on the post? Do they put a comment there? All those things, retweeting, all of those actions that people are taking are considered engagements. And then, so those are the two, I would say, primary goals that are typically easy to find on each platform in their analytics section, but also very easy to track and something that is meaningful to the business or community manager. A secondary kind of set of goals that you can reach and achieve on social media are click-through. So, click-through rate is still something that is important in the social media world. If you post something with the intention of driving that person back to a page on a website, or having them RSVP on something, or taking some sort of action where they need to click through to something else, that will be an important metric for you, an important goal to reach. Although, in a larger, let's say, annual strategy, maybe that's not always the goal. You don't know. So really what your business wants to do determines the goals. Video views can also be another key metric or key performance indicator, they call it, KPIs. You'll see that referenced time and again. Branding is also another important aspect of social media marketing. You've got a public face out there, especially some of the platforms like Twitter. You don't even necessarily need to have a profile on there to be able to see public brands' tweets. So, it is a branding play as well. So all of those are typical goals, broad goals that organizations will focus on. And, one example I might give you is you might have an organization that, I don't know, maybe it's a car dealership or something, and they not only want to reach people in a specific area, they might also really care about video views for their new car models. Maybe 3 models they're planning to have in this year, and they really care about getting a certain number of video views in relationship to those new vehicles. So that could be a specific goal for them, even though they also have a broader goal of reach and branding. So that's just an example. And then, next week, you're going to be really working on your strategy and developing a strategic approach, as it's called. And so you just want to start to think, read through those resource articles I've left you, and start to think about what a strategic approach is for a business. That will be very helpful going into next week. Reading my notes here. A couple of things I wanted to sort of drive home that is also in the book is Gary Vee talks about jabs and right hooks. And if you're not too familiar with the idea of boxing, well, it can be kind of a confusing vernacular that he uses throughout the book. So I wanted to be clear when we're talking about jabs in the context of social media, in the context of this book. You're really talking about little small touches that you're doing a long time to your customer or audience. So in sales and business development, you talk about staying top of mind with your customer or with your audience. These jabs are little tiny ways to stay top of mind. So you might have 100 posts that you're planning to publish, and some of them might be very subtle engagements, subtle ways to talk to your audience, subtle ways to kind of draw them in and get them to understand what you're selling or what your business is about, subtleties. And then at one point you might sort of go for the close, you could say, which is where, okay, now that you've gotten in front of this person a number of times, now you want them to take the action. So this action could be come over to this website page, or it could be sign up for this webinar, or it could be RSVP for this event. So the right hooks normally sort of drive something home, and they're more intentional, that they're aggressively trying to get them to do something or reach a goal in a big way, whereas the other messages are sort of more subtle. So that's what he means by jabs and right hooks. So I think it's really important that you understand that kind of going in and getting after this book. It's really a methodology that's been around for a long time, especially in sales and business development. The jabs are staying top of mind. The right hooks are really sort of asking for the close. All right, so just to talk about Facebook and Twitter for a moment here, I will say Facebook is sort of, it's important to understand when we're thinking about social media channels, what they're there for and what their main purpose is or has become organically by the people who are using them. So I think for Facebook, their main purpose and their sort of core is friendship. Okay, so that's how they build. You want to add a friend. They're a friend building platform where you can stay in contact with your friends over the years. That's their core. And Twitter, when you're thinking about what the core of Twitter is, Gary Vee says that their main currency is the news and information. So when people want to know what's happening and receive some news or information, be that from their personal friend or be it from a celebrity or whatnot, they would go to Twitter. So it's important to understand the difference between why people would turn to different channels. And so you'll see that sort of explained through the book, and then they'll talk about what native content would resonate on that channel. And I think you need to have an understanding of why people would go to that social media channel in the first place in order to inform your native content. And about content, I would say unique content is good, and it's sort of the bar, the expectation that all brands would produce their unique content all the time to be posting. But unique content that is also timely is even better. So if there's some dialogue culturally that's going on, then unique content in relation to that dialogue that's already top of mind for a lot of people is very timely. So for example, right now, the Me Too movement is still top of mind for people. And so you're starting to see brands, major brands, starting to engage in publishing about that topic, and they'll use that hashtag as well. So it's important because you've got this sort of groundswell of people who care about something. And if you can provide unique content that is also what people care about right now in that moment, it's even better. Another example is the Super Bowl. So you see, whenever the Super Bowl happens or some major sporting event, you see all of these brands that have nothing to do with football start to engage and post unique content from their brand social media channels that have to do with that event, because they realize so many people have their mind on that event, and it's a very timely thing to do for them to post on that. So unique content is good. Unique content that is timely is even better. And unique, timely content that appears frequently from the same channel, in the end, what it will do is it will attract followers and organic reach. It will attract followers and organic reach. So there we have it. That's quite a bit I've given you so far. I want to make sure you can get to all of your content and reading. So I'll just leave you with a couple of thoughts. And the first is, when doing social media, businesses can waste a lot of time. Really, it is a huge commitment to really go into a new social media channel and do it well and do it consistently. And when we say time, we're talking about employee time, staff time, which is a resource, an expensive resource for a business. You're also talking about advertising dollar. And so there's in doing those things, even if they're doing them correctly, there's also a big risk for businesses. They can make themselves look foolish very easily. Damaging their brand by saying the wrong thing, or maybe they've added a hashtag to their post, and it turned out the hashtag was really about a different dialogue they didn't realize was happening. So in the end, it is very important for businesses to take a strategic approach about social media marketing. And that is, the strategic approach is also the title for your final paper you'll be doing. And what you'll need to do, as I said before, is contact a real life business. Local is even better. And talk to them about social media marketing, what they're hoping to do and what their goals are. And then you're going to write this paper next week that's going to be talking about taking a strategic approach to social media marketing. To help you with that, and just to get the wheels spinning this week, I've left in the resources section a couple of different links to how different organizations can take a strategic approach to social media marketing. Now, in that assignment, I'll talk about more next week, but just know, it's there are a number of formats. Nothing is wrong. Just follow the instructions. For this week, enjoy the reading. You're reading chapter 3 and 4. Make sure you review all the material on this page, not just this video, really go all the way to the very, very bottom. And then after you've done that and completed number 3, which is the Facebook blueprint, building your mobile presence, go ahead and finish that blueprint number 2. Then go all the way to the bottom and click next, and you'll be prompted with the discussion. Participate in the discussion. If you don't participate fully, you won't get full credit for the discussion. These are graded discussions in lieu of our classroom time, so they're very important. And I ask that you be polite and kind to the other people in the class, but also really engage with them and engage with their posts, and you'll get a lot out of this class. So Hope you enjoyed this week's mini lesson, and let me know if you have any questions as you go along. Have a good week.